Here we have iFlyRC.com's Strider X5 Stretch X quadcopter frame. This was sent in by iFlyRC.com for review, so thanks for sending it so I can show it here in the channel. So it comes in this plastic bag. This one does have a lot of pieces, unlike the more popular frames these days that have a one-piece bottom plate which include the arms. This one has separate arms, so a little bit more like the older frames. But this one is in stretch format, and it's using very narrow arms. So let's check the thicknesses of the arm. So it's 6 millimeters thick by about 8 millimeters wide. And the plates, bottom plate is 2 millimeters, and the top plate also 2 millimeters, so pretty fairly thick. The camera plates are about 1.1. That's for the camera cage, 1.1. And it has this FC plate in case you want to mount something on top of it, and those are all 1.1 millimeters. Comes with all the hardware, some nylon standoffs, some steel screws, and some standoffs. These are the usual 35 millimeter long standoffs. And as always, they include a battery strap. So pretty interesting frame. It's the stretch frames are becoming quite popular these days. Everybody's coming up with design or other. And so this one's made for 2204 size motors, and as you can see, the base for the motor mount is very minimal. So in a way they did make a little bit too small, I think, a little bit too narrow on the arms, but the advantage there would be that it's going to offer a lot less resistance when moving through the air. Very thick, so I imagine the thickness should compensate for these holes that are necessary to assemble the frame. So you know, we'll see after I start crashing. We'll see how that survives. And just to mock up a motor here. This is a 2206 size motor, and as you can see, the motor is actually thicker than the base. So very minimal size on the base. But then again, these type of frames, you know, are probably not for beginners. These are more for advanced flyers. It does have this bit that sticks out, so that kind of protects the motor a little bit. But other than that, its motor is going to be fairly exposed. That's why these are popular, because people are trying to minimize the frontal area so you can move faster through the air, and also minimize weight. So we're gonna put this together and just see how it looks once it's assembled, and we'll weigh it once assembled. So kind of interesting how they machined this. It's actually pretty good, accurate machining. So you can see how snug it fits. It's like a puzzle. I mean, it's very good tolerances. I'm pretty impressed with that type of cut right there on carbon fiber. So both are, I mean, they fit just like, this is a little bit looser, but this one is really tight. So I guess they put that there so that there's gonna be some added force, added reinforcement. So I don't know how well that'll work, but we'll see when we put it together and start flying it and crashing. We'll see how it goes. So just a couple of measurements. They said on the website that it is 240 millimeter motor to motor, and the angle of the arms is 66 degrees. So that's kind of interesting. Now you can use degrees to describe the frame arms. So anyways, let's I'll put it together and see how it looks. Let's see what it weighs. $85.6. So weight is about the same as all the other frames that have a bottom plate with the arms included. Mainly because of the thickness of the arm, so that has a lot of, you know, the 6 millimeter thick, that carries a lot of weight, even though it's narrow. And also it's using these two pretty thick plates, the bottom and top plate. But overall, you know, 88 is not the lightest, but it's not heavy either. I think that's a good weight. Also keep in mind that the arms, in order to be stretched, the arm has to be a little bit longer in this configuration. Though I think they could have, instead of attaching the arms here, what they could have done is they could have attached them farther out right here, maybe. So they could have, you know, they could have been a little bit shorter and save a couple of grams weight. So you don't need to. You don't need to attach them here. You could attach them. So you could attach them somewhere here or so, and you end up saving about close to 10 millimeters maybe of length of arm. So that would be a good amount, I think. So maybe on the next versions they'll do that. That's the 25 amp 4-in-1 ESC. That's the one I'm going to use. It's the IPCA 25 amp 4-in-1. I'm using this F7 FC from iflyrc.com. They sent it in, so I thought I'd go ahead and test it on this frame. I'll be doing a quick overview on this one on the next video. And this one has rubber grommets that you use here on the mounting holes, so that's gonna further isolate it. I'm using cut props here to protect the arms, not the arms, but to protect the wires. I mean, because what happens is when you use these props that don't break off easily, you know, the ones that are a little bit more durable, when you crash they may bend and they may cut the wires. You know, if they bend this way, they'll hit the wires and cut them. So I like to put these. This doesn't weigh that much. That's maybe, I don't know, a gram or two all together. So hopefully that'll protect the wires. So now I just have to solder all these wires for the ESC. It's got some of the this is iflyrc soft mounts for the motors. I don't know if you can see them there, kind of a little bit. I believe they come in sets of 8, for 2 quads. This is what I got, 2 sets in the bag. You have to see it on their website. I'll put a link to it. But they feel kind of like silicone, so you just put them on the between the motor and the arm. So let's weigh it with all of the components, more or less. Just about 296 grams. So that's how it's gonna go. I just need to solder the motors, the FC and camera and all that stuff. So it's gonna add a couple of grams more, maybe an even 300. An okay weight, I think, for the types of components I'm using. So that's gonna be the build. Next video in a few days, if I have time to finish it, I'll do some flight test.